Hi. So in 2008, 93% of House races and 94% of Senate races were won by the candidate who spent the most money. And this has been a trend with 90% of elections in the United States since the 1980s. So my question to you is, as president, how would you put measures in place in order to take the influence of money out of politics and facilitate a true democratic process where votes count more than dollars?
I think it is a practical reality that people who want to influence the government the size are going to find some way to do it. And I think that all of these election regulations have made it harder to be a middle-class candidate, and have made it harder for middle-class candidates to raise money. We are drifting to a society where millionaires buy office, and it's very dangerous. I think when Mayor Bloomberg basically bought the mayorship, he drowned his potential opponents. Spent hundreds of dollars per vote. Now, that's just wrong. But I think the answer, this will surprise you, what you think about it. The answer is not to try to control it. Madison writes about this in the Federalist number 10. Because then you create a dictatorship of the government. The answer, I think, is a very simple election law that says anyone can give any amount of personal after-tax income to the candidate as long as they report it that night on the internet. And what would happen is a normal middle-class candidate would suddenly find that they could find fairly wealthy people who didn't like the incumbent. And those fairly wealthy people would fund a really big campaign. And you would suddenly have equality between incumbents and challengers, and I think it would make for a much healthier system. And I must say that in the debate this morning, when Governor Romney made the comment that you shouldn't run if you have to win in order to pay your mortgage, I thought that was very much the opposite of the American tradition historically. We want everyday, normal people to be able to run for office, not just millionaires, and we want to build a system. I mean, I was an Army brat. My family didn't have any money, and yet I was able, because of the help largely of the Republican Women's Federation, I was able to run 3 times. I lost twice, and I kept running. It was hard. It was harder than it should have been, but today it's even harder than it was back then. My good friend Bob Walker, who's here with me somewhere, ran for Congress the first time. He won his primary with $13,000. Today he'd be drowned by some guy who'd write a check for $500,000. So I think it's really important we find a way to get back to making it possible for everyday middle-class candidates to go out and run for office and have a reasonable chance with. In the 90s, and I said I would like to debate the issue of food stamps versus paychecks. Now, there is currently 43% African American teenage unemployment in the United States. That number should be unacceptable to any American. And we should have a commitment to enable every young American of every ethnic background to pursue happiness. And I said I would be willing to go to the NAACP annual convention, which most Republicans are not willing to do. And I'd be willing to talk about the importance of food stamps versus paychecks. Now, I would have thought there would have been a positive response that says, gosh, here's a Republican who cares enough that he's willing to go and talk to one of the most left-wing organizations in America about how to help the people they represent.
But Speaker Gingrich,
yes.
Most people working are on food stamps. So you say food stamps versus work. And most working Americans, most people on food stamps are working Americans.
And we want to raise that.
And we really need to talk about how we create jobs.
Right.
And I'm Paul, and I'm here, and one of the things that I just wanted to ask about is the concern that we have at Occupy Wall Street is that corporate influences are influencing our candidates. And what we want to make sure happens is that we remove corporate contributions out of the political system. And what we want to ask, will you, President Obama, and Governor Romney all agree to decline corporate contributions so you represent the 99% and not the 1% as a way to deal with this issue? It's a very simple thing.
Right. Yeah, but you make a giant jump. I'm in favor of jobs. I have twice helped create jobs.
Everyone's in favor of jobs.
Okay. Well, not necessarily.
But corporate contributions funded the super PACs, which are impacting you. I like your debate.
Okay,
I like that.
So the corporations don't necessarily fund super PACs. Rich people fund super PACs. So, I don't want to get in a running debate with you. I tried to answer this gentleman's question. I clearly am committed to every American of every background having the right to pursue happiness. I want to follow policies that are not designed for corporations.
But
They're
then just
designed
state
to
the truth
maximize.
fully. Just straight,
Ask your
don't say,
chance.
no, but just state the truth fully. You're a smart man and you know the
Wait,
statistics.
we're not getting a debate here. You
I'm
ask
still
your
debating,
question,
I'm
you're
just
done.
asking you to state the truth. Working Americans get
Wait.
food stamps.
Mr. Speaker,